What if I told you that the most powerful men in the Jehovah's Witnesses religion aren't afraid of Satan, persecution, or the world outside? What if their greatest fear is you waking up? In this 4-part series, the 12 greatest fears of the governing body, we are going to uncover hidden fears and anxieties that haunt the leadership of the Jehovah's Witnesses. Not the fears that they preach about on platforms, on JW broadcasting. The fears that they can never admit to anyone. And the terrifying impossibility of what happens when these fears come true. We will count down from fear number 12 to fear number 1, revealing 3 things: what the fear is, why the governing body fears that fear, and what they are doing to stop that fear from becoming a reality. We are going to answer the question that they dread the most. What happens when all these fears become a reality? This is more than a series. This is a countdown to the JW collapse. Not just collapse, total collapse. And this is Tell Me Dr. K channel, on which we discuss matters of theological nature and deal with any issue that we believe contradicts the Bible. Let's go to fear number 11. Other Christian churches. Babylon the Great. What is the fear here? The fear is that Jehovah's Witnesses will join or start listening to the doctrines and the teachings of other Christian denominations. That they'll be exposed to different interpretation of the scripture, Christian freedom, and grace over guilty. Now, why do they fear this? Because evangelicals especially offer something that Jehovah's Witnesses do not have: emotional connection, worship experience, community love, and a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Because in the Jehovah's Witness organization, you have to have a relationship with the organization. And it's only through the organization, the Watchtower Society, or in full, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Pennsylvania, that you can know God, that you can serve God, that you can have a relationship with Jehovah. Now, it's interesting that the governing body has labeled all Christian denominations as Babylon the Great from Revelation chapter 17, the empire of false religion. Being associated with any other Christian denomination is a disfellowshipping offense. This isn't a doctrine, it's defense. You know, I've always wondered why Jehovah's Witnesses can enter a nightclub, can enter a beer hall or a tavern, but they cannot enter a church. I was so shocked when our young sister was getting married. My young brother, who is a Jehovah's Witness, could not even enter the church where the service was taking place. And at that time, I didn't understand. I was just wondering, what sort of religion is this? But I have discovered their greatest fear is that you know the truth. If the only way to keep members is banning comparison, what does it say about that product? How do the governing body prevent that fear from being realized? They do the following. Number 1, they demonize all other religions and calling them Babylon the Great. Here is the clip.
What is Babylon the Great? The Bible's answer. Babylon the Great, described in the book of Revelation, is the world's collective body of false religions, which God rejects. Although those religions differ in many respects, in one way or another, they all lead people away from the worship of the true God Jehovah. Keys to identifying Babylon the Great. 1. Babylon the Great is a symbol. The Bible describes her as a woman and a great prostitute, having a name that is a mystery, Babylon the Great. False religion actually leads them to worship other gods. The Bible calls this spiritual prostitution. Beliefs such as the Trinity and the immortality of the soul and practices such as the use of images in worship date back to ancient Babylon and continue to permeate false religion. These religions also blend their worship with love for the world. The Bible refers to this form of unfaithfulness as spiritual adultery.
By instilling fear that God is going to destroy anyone outside the Jehovah's Witnesses organization.
The article from which our text is taken, entitled Your Deliverance is Getting Near in the July 15, 2015 issue of the Watchtower, points out, in harmony with the scriptures, boiling down a number of scriptural facts, that Babylon the Great will be destroyed. Then the initial part of the Great Tribulation will be cut short. There will be a brief respite during which the majority of mankind will seek refuge in human organizations. Our message of good news will change to one of judgment. Then the coalition of nations, referred to as Gog of Magog, will be bent on attacking Jehovah's anointed ones and their associates. Now, only loyal love for Jehovah, obedient support of his anointed ones, will get us through. That will mean everything. So what must we do now? Stay awake. You have an identity.
By warning that even visiting a church is considered as spiritual adultery. Here is a clip of a woman who started studying with the Jehovah's Witnesses and yet got employed as a secretary at the church. Listen to what she said. Here is a clip.
Right about the time I started studying the Bible, an opportunity came up for me to start doing secretarial work at a church. I was the one who cared for all of the money that the church would receive. But at that moment, I didn't see any problem with staying where I worked. One night at a meeting, I was talking with an elder, and he told me that I wouldn't even be able to give student parts at the Kingdom Hall, since I was still working as a secretary at the church. That made me very sad, because I found myself just receiving guidance from Jehovah and learning his truth. But I was not giving back anything to him despite what he was doing for me. However, I have to admit that I still hadn't completely made up my mind. Since my husband had back surgery and wasn't able to work at the time, we had our little daughter to care for. So I kept thinking, what should I do? Right now, this is the only money we have coming in. I had great help from my instructor. Just as Jehovah doesn't force us, she didn't force me. As she told experiences and showed me in the Bible what really pleases Jehovah, it made me realize that I had to make a decision. As my Bible study got deeper, I began to realize that I really was already loving Jehovah and wanted to please him. Before Jehovah, my conscience was already affecting me. I had to make a decision on his side. That's exactly what I did.
And Christian denominations, they fear most evangelicals, because evangelicals know the Bible more than the Jehovah's Witnesses. And because of this, they treat them as spiritual enemies. They fear that if you attend another church, you will feel loved, not judged. And that feeling will expose the emptiness they work so hard to hide.
Really, really difficult, like you were saying, that transition between, hey, I'm not a witness, I don't trust organized religion, into finally like stepping in at church. And almost everybody I've talked to is like, yeah, once you go, you're like, oh, I enjoyed that. That's how it's supposed to be. That's what real love is, a real relationship. It's like drinking poisoned water your whole life and it were muddy, and then finally drinking like it out of the Brit and going, oh, that's what it's supposed to taste like. Gotcha. But I understand the fear in that, especially when you've been inculcated your entire life with churches are bad, churches are evil. They go in, they don't talk to anybody, they leave, and it's just a social gathering. No one really loves each other there. And then when you are encountered with that, it's just a sledgehammer to the face. And that's everyone's experience of like, wow. So like, what are some of the biggest differences I guess what are some of the biggest lies that you've been told, and then now that you've been in church, kind of, I guess almost a year now, what is it like? What have you uncovered?
Well, like I said before, I think the biggest thing that comes to mind is that, like, oh, they don't actually read the Bible, or, you know, teach from the Bible, or, that is not true at all. I mean, it's so much more centered around the Bible than ever anything I experienced before as a witness. Um, that you're not going to find true love, with amongst other churches and stuff. And that's not true either. There's such, we've met so many great people. We have such an amazing community now through the people that we've met at church. And yeah, so I don't know, I guess that.
Yeah, that's big. I mean, those are the two big ones, right? Especially the community. That's one
Yeah.
thing high control groups unfortunately do well, but that's just how they're structured is they really do really engage in that, the social aspects, right? That you feel that you're brothers and sisters with people you aren't related to. And then when that breaks, the pain is tremendous. And
Yeah.
you've always told, oh, you will never find anything like that. Well, you do. I mean, it's not to that level, of course, but
Right.
one is real love. The other one's
Right.
fake. Like those are the people that turn their back on you when you didn't think exactly like they did. And the other ones, they're there for you through the thick and the thin. Even if you had doubts, you're able to come to them and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. And instead of running from you, they come and they
Yeah.
grab onto you. That's what the church is supposed to look like.
And also that like going to a church, I mean, that's not I don't have to go to church to have a relationship with Jesus, I think it's good and it's been very helpful, but the other thing too is, like, I mean, I could leave at any time, I could leave and go to a different church.
What do the Jehovah's Witnesses really fear? That you might enjoy life outside, that you might feel welcome in another church, that the world will see what happens behind closed doors of the kingdom halls. But these are just external threats. In our next episode, we look inward to fears that target the mind, the friends, the groups, and the future. We will look at the fears that could destroy the Watchtower Society. If you have enjoyed this video, you've driven benefit from it, kindly do me a favor, like, subscribe, and smash the notice bell that when I upload the next video, you will receive a notification. If you want to add anything else which I've left out, kindly put it in the comments below. If you disagree with me as a Jehovah's Witness, you can also put your comments below. But don't just give a general statement. Please make it clear. You need to address a specific challenge. To watch other videos about the impending collapse of the Jehovah's Witnesses, click on this link. To watch all the episodes in the series, click on this link.